Welcome to the Thursday, April 11th, 2024 meeting of the Ann Arbor Historic District Commission. This meeting is being held in person and electronically via Zoom. We intend to conduct this hybrid meeting similarly to an in-person meeting. However, please be patient if there are technical issues. Members of the public who would like to comment on hearings or other matters may do so in person or virtually. Please, to speak during any of the public comment opportunities, please call 206-337-9723 or toll free 877-853-5247. Enter meeting ID 965-3669-9762. This information is also available on the published agenda, in the public notices section of the city website, and on the broadcast of this meeting on CTN. CTN can be found on Xfinity Channel 16, AT&T Channel 99, streaming online on YouTube, or at a2gov.org/watchctn. Ms. Thatcher, will you please call the roll?
Yes, please don't be alarmed when I call former Commissioner Jessica Quijano's name, because she's technically on the books for another month or two.
Is she?
Yeah, that's okay. She just ended a little early. Commissioner Fortner.
Here.
Commissioner Calderon.
Here.
Commissioner Ross. Commissioner Rockland.
Here.
Commissioner Kaplan.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Quijano. Commissioner Ross is expected.
Okay, so we have a quorum and we're good to go.
Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Thatcher. Okay, approval of the agenda. Did anyone take a look at the agenda and want to make any changes? I think that it was missing something, but I don't know if it's so significant, but we go from F to H. I don't think we have a G, so I don't think it's a problem. If you agree, we
Yeah,
can
I
just
think
move
we're okay.
on. Okay. Without objection, the agenda is approved. Now we'll have public comment. This is an opportunity for persons to speak for up to 3 minutes about an issue that is not listed as a public hearing on this agenda. To comment on such other preservation matters, please approach the podium now or join the meeting using the information displayed on the agenda and the video feed.
We do have several Zoom
I'm going to keep
attendees.
reading then.
Keep reading.
To electronically raise your hand to indicate your desire to speak, please press *9 on your phone. City staff will select callers one by one using the last 3 digits of your phone number. You will hear an automated announcement that the host is allowing you to speak. Please state your name and address at the beginning of your comments. So please press *9 if you'd like to speak and you're on Zoom. I don't see anyone approaching the podium here, so if we don't have anyone,
No one's
*9.
indicating.
Okay. Let's move on from public comment to unfinished business, and we do have some unfinished business today, and that is 808 West Washington. Ms. Thatcher, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. 808 West Washington was partially approved at last month's meeting. One part of the application that you felt you didn't have sufficient information on was brought back to this meeting, and there is a new drawing. That was about extending the driveway from the current 1-car space in the front yard. You can see it here where the silver car is parked to about another 20 feet back so that you could fit 2 cars in the garage. These are photos from last month. This is the area where the new parking space would go. It has been shortened from the previous drawings. The driveway used to go all the way to the back corner of the house. Now it only goes about 1 more car length, and it stops short, about 5 feet short of this tree, which is a historic resource on the lot because it does appear on 1947 aerials. Just a view from the back. There's a garage in this lower left-hand corner that was approved on the previous at the previous meeting. Okay, these are our new updated drawings. It's the same drawing on the left and the right. Left is just the entire site. You can see the existing concrete driveway and how it gets bigger. It's about 40 feet deep by 10.5 feet wide. And this is a blow-up just so you can see it a little bit better. They have set it back 3 feet from the side property line. This is that landmark tree. Canopy is actually quite a bit larger than that. It's 5 feet from the trunk of the tree. The canopy would be over this pavement. Staff is not super concerned because that is sort of a minimal amount of pavement that would be under the tree within the drip area of the canopy. The review committee was out on Monday. I was not able to join the review committee. Alexis DeLeo was there in my place. Since the last meeting, the landmark tree has been trimmed. You can see a lot of trimming going up very far on the tree. And here's a view looking from the back of the lot. This is the trimmed tree. This is where the parking space would go. From the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, standards 2, 9, and 10 best apply. 2 says the historic character of a property will be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alterations of features, spaces, and spatial relationships that characterize a property will be avoided. Number 9 says new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. And number 10 says new additions and adjacent or related new construction will be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property will be unimpaired. There are many, many design guidelines that would apply to parking, new parking, and trees, and landscape, and historic relationships between buildings and open space. I will go through some of them here. I don't think I will read them all, but they are in the staff report. From the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines for building site, it's not recommended to locate any new construction where important landscape features will be damaged or destroyed, and placing parking facilities directly adjacent to historic buildings where automobiles may cause damage to the building or to important landscape features. From the guidelines for neighborhood setting, it's recommended to retain the historic relationship between buildings and landscape features of the setting. It's not recommended to destroy the relationship between buildings and landscape features by widening existing streets, changing landscape materials, or constructing inappropriately located new streets or parking. This is for the HDC to determine whether that parking space is appropriately located or not. Residential landscape features, it's appropriate to retain and maintain mature trees and historic relationships between buildings, landscape features, and open spaces. And from the Ann Arbor Historic District Design Guidelines for paved areas, it's appropriate to install new parking areas which are compatible with the scale, proportion of yard area, and characteristics of the historic district behind buildings. These shall be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. All right, let me go back up to my staff report. You may have noticed that there was just a memo as an updated staff report. I still have concerns about this proposal. I don't think additional parking is really necessary. This is the half of the block that is easier to park on. As you get closer to downtown, it's a lot tougher to park on West Washington, but this is the area where it starts to thin out. At the last meeting, you guys approved a 2-car garage, which is 2 parking spaces. This existing space is a 3rd. And really my biggest concern is putting a car in the side yard that's between 2 houses where one has never lived before. This is going to be a rental property, and there will be cars there. That's why the owner wants more parking, to get cars off the street. But I really don't think that it's visually compatible, and it doesn't retain the historic relationship between the house and the landscape and the neighbor's house. So I do have those points for you to consider when you're looking at this application. And that's it from staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thatcher. Okay. We will now move on to the review committee report. And I've got Commissioners Kaplan and Ross on the review committee. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Can we have your report, please?
Sure, I can start. One thing to note to Ms. Thatcher is I actually just received a text from somebody who's watching at home, and they said there's no volume.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. CTN, I hope you heard that someone watching at home says there's no volume. I hope it's that person's
Did
issue
they turn
and
up
not.
the volume
not
on
ours.
their listening device?
Say, Tim, turn up your volume. Well, you can't hear me.
That's good
Okay.
feedback, and yeah, it's been noted.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry about that.
we're good. Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
sorry about that
Yeah.
interruption. Yes, so we did go out to the site, and, obviously knowing that 2 other commissioners went out there to the site the previous month, I think we all pretty much understand what's going on, and the staff report does a good job of outlining the current conditions. So the one thing, a few things I guess that I did notice is where the applicant wants to extend the concrete. Right now, there's kind of like gravel and rut and kind of like tire ruts. So it's pretty clear that that space has been used, who knows for how long, but has been used kind of informally for parking for quite some time. And I did kind of also just walk around the neighborhood, the block itself, and noted that the majority of the properties have driveways that are either kind of similar to this one, kind of short, or that goes all the way back to like a garage or just like side kind of yard parking. We did have a few questions around, if this driveway is extended, is it possible that it could interrupt the root ball or the roots from the tree? Is there going to be any need to excavate? Because it's pretty, it's pretty kind of unstable and kind of like, not a kind of a straight kind of smooth situation where they want to put the driveway. So those questions around like if there's a need to excavate or regrade, if there's a potential to impact the tree. But it seems like kind of a pretty kind of straightforward ask, at least. I don't know.
I'll just add, from my recollections of the first go-around when these guys proposed, they weren't asking, I mean, we can hypothesize about what will end up happening with rental tenants, but they were not asking to add parking on this driveway. They were asking to elongate the driveway for the purposes of having a level spot to park the one car that already parks there. Their stated intent was to get to a place where it would be safer to exit a car when it's icy or cold outside or wet and muddy and slippery, to get to the house with groceries, et cetera, which seems sensible to me because the place that is paved right now for parking is on a pretty steep incline, and getting in and out of the car there, I could see posing. I don't think of that as a desirable place to park a car. And I'm trying to remember how many bedrooms is in this house. I think it's 3. That being said, if it's a 3-bedroom house and we've given them two parking spaces in the garage behind already from their last approach, there's really only one other car that would be parking on that driveway. A lot of our discussion in the second site visit had to do with the safety of the tree. One other thing that came up in conversation was if something were to be done in the driveway, if it wouldn't be possible to sort of require or ask for there to be a constructive end point to the driveway, like a berm, or like you have those little curbs in parking lots, so that it couldn't easily be driven past. I don't know if I said it out loud to you, Jennifer. I was thinking about the idea of, if it was going to happen, could it be pavers as opposed to concrete or an extension of concrete? Because pavers, and I'm pretty sure pavers require less of a bed. You don't have to dig down as deep to facilitate a brick paver driveway as you would if you put in 8 inches of limestone and then poured concrete at the top of it. And so excavating for the purposes of a concrete driveway could damage the root system of a tree if it has shallow roots. So there was a lot of discussion around those lines on the site visit, most of them revolving around what happens to the tree.
Okay. Thank you both. We'll now move on to the applicant comments. Is the applicant here or on Zoom? Do you see?
One of the participants kept noticing that they still cannot hear what the commissioners are speaking about. So could someone check the audio system?
Thank you very much for that comment. We got the thumbs up from our audio engineer just a second ago, so I wonder what's happening.
Did he come out?
Yeah, he came out and said, we have volume, but we don't, apparently.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is my colleague can hear on channel 16, but not on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so it's.
So that's
try-
why there was a thumbs up
Yes.
for something,
Yeah.
but something else is not working.
Yeah, so anyone out there watching who can't hear me, try Channel 16 or YouTube. There's also a YouTube station for the city of Ann Arbor, but don't go with Zoom.
You need to hold up a sign that says that,
Is there a-
because no one just heard you say that except for the people on YouTube.
There's,
Should we stop for a second and try to figure this out? So we have, you want to log out, log back in? That's going to kick everyone out, right?
yeah, that's okay, and they're not going to know why. if they
Let's
can't
not do
hear.
that. Can you type a comment in the message, in the chat box, chat?
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, let them know to get to YouTube and search CTN and. So therefore, should we move on though? You want to get the applicant?
I don't have a chat. There's no chat.
There's no chat, okay.
No. Let's see.
Let's just pause for a second while we figure this out, because I think this is critical to have audio for the Zoom members especially, because that's applicants and owners and that kind of stuff.
I don't see an applicant or owner for this particular petition. If you'd like, I could promote one of the others and just ask them if they can hear us.
Let's do that as
Okay.
a brief troubleshooting
Okay.
item, and then we'll move on. If there's no applicant for this item, we can just move on.
Tim Boscarino, if you're out there, if you can hear me, I'm going to promote you to see if you can hear us. And I'm not able to promote Tim. Okay, here, I can allow him to talk at least. Hey, Tim, are you there and can you hear us?
He may not be,
I'm not
because
sure. He may not
he's a
be at his-
person, who was on Zoom, but then switched over to channel 16. So he may
Oh.
not be on Zoom anymore.
Tim, can you hear us? He unmuted, but we can't hear him. This is not good. Okay, there's a couple people in Zoom. If you can hear me right now, I'm going to restart the Zoom meeting and re-log in the podium. CTN, I hope that doesn't mess you up, but I'm not sure what else to try right now. So we'll be right back. Let's take a little 5-minute recess here. if
Okay,
that's
5-minute recess.
Okay.
Sounds
Thank you.
like a plan. Okay, so we were just in the middle of 808 West Washington, and so we've heard from the review committee. We were about to get applicant comments, and we realized that there's actually no applicant available for this hearing. So we will move right into the public hearing for this application. That the public hearing's open. For 808 West Washington, public comment may be made in person or by joining the meeting using the information displayed on the agenda. I'm guessing we don't have anyone because we've had a thorough check of our Zoom room just recently. Unless we think that this person, yeah, okay.
We're good.
Very good. Okay, so now the public hearing portion of this application is now closed. Is there any commissioner who would like to make a motion on this application? Commissioner Ross.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 808 West Washington Street, a contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District, to widen the driveway from West Washington to 10 foot 6 inches, pave it with concrete, and extend the driveway to 40 feet as proposed. The work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines, especially those for all new construction, residential landscape features, and paved areas, and the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site in district or neighborhood setting.
Second?
That was moved by Commissioner Ross and seconded by Commissioner Kaplan. So now, is there any discussion on the motion?
So I'm going to go back to what I said last meeting, which is the residents of this rental property are able to buy a residential parking permit that allows them to park on either side of the street, round the clock, for $70 a year. I don't think it's our job to figure out how they park their tenants. Like that's not our thing. I have an issue with extending a concrete driveway into the root zone of that maple tree. It's a shallow-rooted tree. It's going to eventually either kill the tree or the tree roots are going to, ruin the concrete. I'd be okay with it if it were just gravel. I think there's a great, and if you look at a lot of the houses to the east of that property, they have gravel driveways or combination dirt, grass, gravel driveways. Across the street, there's a great example of a gravel driveway that would be fine and I would think ultimately could be compatible, but I think extending a giant concrete slab back there is not, especially considering we just granted them a 2-car garage. If that's going to be an ADU, that's fine too, but, bring it in as an ADU and not as a garage.
Thank you. I had a question for staff. There was a curious, when you were reading through your slides, one of the standards about really specific to this application says that parking, it's appropriate for parking to be behind the structure. And that just struck me as, I don't know, like overly optimistic or something, or, it's not really it's not possible in this case. And it just seems like in most cases, the parking's not actually behind, but does it mean actually like in the rear yard, or does it mean literally behind the structure?
I think the intent is to keep it out of sight if possible, and
Yeah.
if not, keep it as far back as possible.
Right, okay.
But I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that this is a case-by-case basis, and this is
Okay.
a narrow city lot, and not new parking going in behind a store or something.
Right.
So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Very good. Do we have other discussion?
Just one thing I want to throw out, I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, we're in many cases here trying to guess how this is going to get used. But, and also at different points as we've discussed this driveway, we've thought about it as, should we allow them to get more parking? And in this case, there is parking there. We don't have the option of denying them the spot that they currently have that's in their front yard. If I knew unequivocally that we could just say, the parking that you have here goes 10 feet further, so it's not in the row of houses and visible, and so it wasn't just a trade of locations, I would have absolutely no reservations about permitting them to go further back. It is the problem, the only thing that gives me pause about this, and I still think I'm leaning on saying it would be okay, is that it could be abused. That's the thing I think that we worry about, is like when it's a rental and the owner's not around, I mean, he may have the best of intentions, but we know what happens with those. And it would be hard to enforce the intent of use each and every year as he gets new tenants, and that's the tricky part.
Yeah, I think my concern is the leaving it as it is with the ad hoc parking that's going to occur, more of a risk to the tree than some kind of defined parking. And, you know, if it could really be defined, so you couldn't drive up farther.
Yes.
Commissioners, if you can always add something into your motion. If you wanted to approve what they've presented, which is what you're considering, you could say it's approvable with the addition of a row of bumper blocks at the end of the driveway. You know, that's pretty straightforward, and we've done that before. Sometimes people put planters there or something, but I think bumper blocks are the easiest. But don't change it too much. You know?
Well, I actually think if that is, if that's a concern of the commissioners, I think that the tree itself is actually the bumper blocks here. Because if you look at how it's drawn, the tree is kind of off to the side almost on the property line. But when you're there, that tree, like I was standing right on the edge of the driveway today looking back, and the tree is like within the driveway itself. So if they're going straight back and they're saying they're 5 feet from the tree, that tree is within the width of the driveway. And no one's going to be able, in order to park, they'd have to, I guess you could always
yeah.
do it, but it would
Yeah,
be.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I think they're going to do it whether there's a driveway. You know, clearly people are parking there.
Yeah, they're doing it already.
Right? And they're getting around they're going around the tree, they're getting close to the tree.
Right. This is slightly better, I believe, because it is really defining, like, this is
Right.
where the
It will
car
keep
should be
people
lining up, and you're
5
really
feet
out of
from the
place.
tree.
Yeah.
But then the question is, can you do concrete without damaging the tree?
Well,
Even within 5
if
feet,
cars have been parking there, then they've damaged the tree already, because the weight of the car and, you know, construction vehicles are smushing the roots,
whatever
and
is
the damage has been done, I think, with that tree already.
The damage that you see there that has been done was
Yeah.
from a previous construction project. The house is gutted right now.
Yeah, so-
The previous owners, a couple years ago, gutted the whole thing. There was lots of equipment parked there for a while. I haven't seen any evidence that it was ever used as a parking space, you know, formally or informally, but the construction stuff did mess up that area. It's gravelly now. It needs to be scraped and put some topsoil down and, you know, reseed it and make it landscaping again instead of kind of the muddy mess that it is right now.
When I look at, like, the aerial photos, it's sort of 50-50, like half the aerials, or maybe more than half of the aerials, the ones that are legible, seem to show like a 2-track, you know, there's the concrete bit, and then even the 1947 aerial, it's pretty clear that that was being used, I don't know about for parking, but as a drive of some sort. There's a 2-track there. There's the concrete, and there's a 2-track. And then if you go, you know, up to 2023, there was like one where it looked like someone had actually planted grass there, and maybe it was a shadow, but the two-track wasn't there. And then all of the other ones do show a two-track after the concrete. So in my reading of that, this was, I mean, it'd be nice if there was a photo with the smoking gun of a car there from 1947 or something like that. But it just seems like this was used as parking throughout the history of this house. So the way I'm reading that is that this is more of a change in material than a change in use. And I think that I would prefer other materials, but to me, concrete is, like the way I'm just reading all this information is that this is, this is meeting the standards. It's case by case, and I understand the other arguments here as well, though. So I do believe this is a tricky one. That was more of my comments than a summary, so if someone else wants to have another comment, and then we can vote. We've kind of heard from everyone, but, I'll give someone else kind of a last word.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm a little uncomfortable with, frankly, talking about use. I think we're kind of maybe getting a little bit into the zoning, side of things versus just like looking at the extension, the addition of the concrete and the material.
Yeah.
So I agree with you,
Yeah.
David, on your kind of summary of the situation. So.
All right, any other comments? Okay. Let's go to a vote then. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no.
No?
Okay, looks like the motion carries. Your application has been approved. Please note, you must apply for required permits with the city before beginning your project. Okay, how are we on Zoom? Any texts or anything? Do we feel like we're good at the moment? Okay. Just wanted to take that moment, pause to find out. Do we need to go back and do anything again, or do you feel like we're good and just full
We're
steam
okay.
ahead?
Yep. Okay.
Great. Well, if that's the case, then we're moving on to new business. And it's going to be F1, and that's 1201 Gardner Avenue. Ms. Thatcher, when you're ready, the staff report, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 1201 Gardner Avenue is the Robert and Irma Hayden House. This is its first formal application to the Historic District Commission. This district was adopted by City Council in 2023. I included a complete description because we have one at the end of the staff report of the house and a little bit of the history. It's located at the northeast corner of Gardner Avenue and Westminster Place. The applicant is seeking HCC approval to relocate a rear door opening near the garage into a new exterior wall with a door. This is a 2022 survey photo. The area in question is this doorway here. You can see that the one-car garage has a roof that attaches to the house, but there's a space here, probably 4 feet wide, where there's an inset door right along here, this dark area. There's also a window opening here. The window is not original. I don't know if the opening is original. And there's one more that you'll see in a sec. This is a carport extension that was added onto the garage at some point. So here you can see where you go up 2 steps, there's a window into the house, and the door you would turn right to enter the house there. The door is also not an original door.
What about that window that we're looking at now?
This window?
No, the one that's all the way back.
The
Yeah.
straight one is, yeah.
That
Here
is,
you'll see it,
okay,
yeah.
so we got one.
Yes,
Oh, sorry,
Yes,
yeah.
so this is a casement 6-light window, and this is a non-original. You can see that it doesn't fit in the opening, so probably the opening has been there, but this window was infilled at some point at the top. And here's the door, has a screen in this photo. This is a photo from the inside. There's that casement with the 6 lights. And these are photos from the review committee on Monday. This is not a great picture, but it's probably the best one of the door. It's got a little, a little faux fan light up top. It's a modern vintage door. Looks like they've started doing some reframing here. I'm not sure what's going on there. And it looks like they've already taken the ceiling down and maybe started work for this door here. I'm not exactly sure.
Looks like it.
So this is a pretty good way to think about that door opening. So here's the garage and the carport, and you enter up the steps here and you go in the door into the house here. This is where that casement window is, and then you've got more house. I'm sorry, this is the garage here. But there is some house here attached, as you saw in this photo. You can kind of see the garage wall over here on the right. The existing elevations are shown here. This is where a door is proposed to go. This would have the effect of capturing that little sort of breezeway between the house and the garage and making it usable space and allowing them to expand the interior into that space that they would recapture. There are really no changes to the south elevation. I just wanted to show you the garage and the carport here. Here is that entrance. You go into this little porch area, go in this door, and there are two windows. I think this window's not shown. Looks like it's into a bathroom. And then this is the window into the kitchen. So the proposal is to move some interior walls, remove this wall, remove that door, and basically open up this whole area of the kitchen. We don't really care what they're doing on the inside, but it's important to understand, since they provided us with this information, why they want to do this. An egress door would be moved here to the opening between the garage. This would be at the point where the carport joins the garage. So it's, let me go back up to the photos. Yeah, so the door would be here along this looks like there's a gutter there. There's a downspout there. It would still be behind the carport, but it would be flush with the front wall of the garage. The proposal is to reuse some of these existing shingles and to infill the area around the door. You wouldn't need very many of them, but the contractor said that he would save some of those. Let's see, and here's where the proposed door would go. It is a modern design, the door. It's a little bit confusing. The description says that it's a walnut grain fiberglass door that's being stained. I'm not sure how you stain fiberglass. It's possible that it's clad, but just give us 1 second. You can come up and tell us about the door. But it's very simple. It has this vertical stripe here element on it, which makes it more modern looking, but it's not, it wouldn't be confused for a period door by any stretch of the imagination. From the Secretary of Interior standards that best apply, number 1 says a property will be used as it was historically or be given a new use that requires minimal change to its distinctive materials, features, spaces, and spatial relationships. Number 5 says distinctive materials, features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a property will be preserved. I've already read number 9 to you. From the Secretary of Interior's guidelines, the guidelines for accessibility recommend designing new or additional means of access that are compatible with the historic building and its setting. For entrances and porches, it's recommended to design and install additional entrances or porches when required for the new use in a manner that preserves the historic character of the building, limiting such alterations to non-character defining elevations. From the guidelines for residential porches, it's appropriate to install a new porch and entrance on secondary elevations. May be appropriate if it does not diminish the building's architectural character and the design and materials are compatible with the building and the site. So let me go back up here. I had a couple of comments, I think. So in the Hayden House report that was put together by the study committee, it does specify that the house, the garage, and the carport are all contributing historic features of this site, as well as some of the landscaping. And that's something else, that's something else I need to have a conversation with, but not tonight, with the owners and the contractor. But once the work got started without HDC approval, and so they stopped work. And I've been talking to the contractor about some other things that are going on. They had to do some demo of the patio in the front of the house to get to some sewer line that had collapsed. And now they're working on putting that back together. But really, we're just talking about the door here tonight. It's a change. This would certainly change the character of that side of the house. The question is just whether this is a character-defining feature, as it is now as an inset. It would make it a lot more efficient on the inside of the house here. But it would also have definitely a visible impact on the exterior of the house. So I urge you to consider the standards and guidelines when discussing this application. And I think that's it for staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thatcher. We will now move on to the review committee report, so we'll hear from Commissioners Kaplan and Ross.
So we were there on site earlier in the week, and one of the things that becomes instantly obvious is that the area that they're talking about is recessed and in shadow from almost every angle. To see this or to have it affect you as a visiting person passing by, you'd have to be trespassing. The door that they're suggesting to replace it with as a kind of sort of just a darker shaded thing doesn't seem, to me at least, to be too dissimilar from the shadow of the cavity that sits there now between the structure of the garage and the structure of the house. So it's not replacing an existing door that's in that place, it's replacing empty space. That, to me, when I walked up to it, I noticed red as just sort of shadow. There was a dark rectangle in that spot, and there will be, if they put this door in, a dark rectangle in that spot.
Thank you.
Okay. And I guess I would just kind of, restate staff's point about the fact that that if this application, this proposal will, I guess we all know this, essentially transform what is a porch / kind of open breezeway into, well, it removes that. So it's removing that space that was there historically and during the period of significance. And because this is a single building historic district, I think it's really important just to really think about that versus just like a contributing building in a wider district. So I think that there's more importance on those character-defining features of this particular property because it is a single property district. So just a data point to think about.
Thank you. Is the period of significance different than the period of significance? Okay. I'm not going to ask you what it is, but just so we know, it's a different period of significance than every other historic district that we have.
It's the time period that the Haydens lived in the house.
Fair.
Which is,
It's 1980.
look up.
It ends
That's
at
what I want to
1980.
ask. What's that?
It ends at 1980.
19.
yeah,
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so just everyone keep that in mind too. We're dealing with different time frame here in this very unique case. Okay. We have applicant comments now. Would the applicant please approach the podium, provide your name and address for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes to speak. Please come forward. You have 5 minutes to speak, and you've heard from the staff report and the review committee report, so you can comment on both of those, and then just whatever comments you also may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners. May I provide the requested materials from the Monday visit, please?
Yes, please.
Okay. In the interest of time, I
Yep. Sorry, a lot of thinking there.
Lots of paperwork. Thank you.
Thank you.
And apologies for.
I kept one from the site visit, so I'm good, thanks.
Thanks, Chip. Please.
Okay, so I would like to make a quick comment about the door first, because that modern door may have been an eyesore, or it may have not really reflect the historic significance. I would like to just make a quick a clarification that we are going to use the original door, whether that is it falls into on the historic significance, which is until 1980 or not. But our plan is to use the original door that is in place. So I want to make it very clear that we are not proposing a new modern looking door, but we are actually reusing the door that is there. So going back to Commissioner Kaplan's point, so we also agree that whether the door is placed exactly where it is placed now, or removing it, probably passerbys wouldn't really notice because it's really in the shadow area. However, we still would like to respect the historic significance of this door. So that's just one comment. Also, during the Monday site visit, we were also, commissioners requested how, with this, there were some concerns about the downspout and the conditions of this, the gutter system. And inspection report indeed mentioned that there is a lot of downspout or this gutter system, especially in the east side of the house, needs repair. So we are doing those things to restore the significance of this house that exactly matches how it currently looks like. The only thing that we are proposing is the awning that we discussed with the commissioner. So if you see the page 3 of the submitted material here, you can see the specific design, how we would like to install gutter system or similar to route water away from the door, which is actually quite important aspect to keep the house away from water damages or prevent door damages, because on its own, because maybe perhaps I would like to propose that the commissioners also take a look at the current picture, which is figure 1. It says view east pest 1. If you look at the picture, then you can see quickly that if it snows a lot or rains a lot, then it really is subject to water damages currently. So we are going to install an awning so that we prevent the further water damages, and also restore and replace all the gutter system that is damaged or needs repair. I understand that Bernard, who is working tirelessly on the house, is also joining the Zoom. So if I'm not an architect, but I really respect the historic significance of this house. So if you have any technical question, I would like to welcome that you refer this question to Bernard, who really does know everything. I don't want to go too much details, but I would like to emphasize this.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Yeah, hi, Sue.
Okay.
Hi, Bernard.
How are you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for joining us. Do you have any comments on this application? Or could you state your name and address for the record, please, and then let us know if you have any comments?
Yes, would you like me to address, hang on, I'm gonna
Oh.
get rid of one of my audios here.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Bernard Sharp. I'm not sure if you need my personal address, but I'm working on 1201 Gardner Ave in Arbor, Michigan, the remodel project over there. Hope you guys are all doing well. It's actually kind of cool to listen to all the history of the last 2 houses that you guys just did. Wonderful stuff. I love it for my city being an Ann Arbor native, so it's great stuff. Anyways, yeah, to what Sue was saying also, and she did a great job. I just wanted to say a few things about the awning. We will put that in the application process to you guys, and Stephen, you had brought up about the water, and you guys, I just wanted to get you guys kind of a rough drawing and stuff for her, and it could be any option that you guys wanted. We're admissible to anything for that. I just wanted to get you guys something, and I will to Jill and to you guys, commissioners. I'll put that through the proper channels after this. In regards to the door, again, that's just the building, the interior, when we were removing the wall through the city, when we applied for that permit, they were fine with removing that wall. The idea was kind of give them some more space in the kitchen and then rework that door to basically match the house with the cedar shake and reuse all of that, which kind of still keeps that historic feel to it. It'd almost be like you guys are saying, that shadow, the difference between that, it'd be hard to tell, I guess, from the road or even walking up to it. It'd be hard to even tell that door was ever even moved, other than that little breezeway, which I understand the significance of that too, in the style in the early years, how they had close walls, quick turns into certain houses. Other than that, I mean, I think it's, again, for the guys that, when I talked to Jill several times, which thank you, Jill, for all the phone calls you took from me. I really appreciate that. And all that help and education that you gave me within this. So that was a thank you for that. When they started demoing it, I wasn't even aware of that. So I immediately, when I heard about it, I did halt that. So I wanted to apologize with that miscommunication to my guys, and I will take responsibility for that. Those cedar shake can get put back at any given point. That's not a very hard task. We are very artistic in what we do as well. So when we blend something into bringing history back to life, even with a slight change, that is something that I think we're very, very talented in. So, and me personally, being an artist, can do a bunch of those things. But anyways, other than that, anything you guys want or suggestions you may have, we are open to that as well. So please, anything you guys have, but that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Okay, thanks, Bernard. Hold tight. We probably will have some questions. So let's just see if the commissioners have some questions, and I think that's what well, let's see. Yeah. So, do any commissioners have any questions?
I just have
yeah,
one.
Great.
So the door that was, there was a picture of a modern door that was included in the initial packet, and you're saying that that is not the door that you'd be using, but rather you'd be reusing the existing door. When you say existing door, is that the half fan light door that was going in? Okay, so that's the door that you then put to the, okay. That's all I want to know.
So there's a window not shown on the bathroom. Will that be kept? So it looks like there'll be a door, a historic window that will be enclosed with the new wall. And there's will that bathroom window be kept?
As Commissioner Thatcher mentioned, I don't believe that window belongs to the historic significance period. It seems like it's a modern window. However, if that is an important consideration, we can also keep the window. Thank you for asking that.
Other questions for the applicant here? I think I might have a few, but I was wondering if anyone else did. Okay. One question I have is if you look at the level, like the floor level of the kitchen, you step down into that breezeway right now, and then you step down again to get to the driveway. So that's 2 risers. So what's the proposal for when you open that new door and you're going outside? That's 2 steps. There's got to be something there. So what are you proposing that's outside of that door?
Thank you for asking this. We were also wondering the same question. So currently the steps is 2 steps together is about 16 inches high,
Sure.
which is very high to just make a step. So perhaps we are a newbie. We haven't owned any historic district house. We would like to preserve the beauty of the house in ways that seem to be consistent with the standard. So, sitting in the room, I learned a lot too. So if there are any suggestions regarding, okay, keeping the same level seems fine. However, how are you going, maybe it could be a ramp installation. If that seems consistent with the safety or guideline of the Historic District House or not, we would love to hear your suggestion. We are here to learn your suggestion. You don't
Yeah.
really have a very
I'll stop you right there. Unfortunately, we're not like a design board like that. Like, we can't design the project for you. You have to propose something to us, but we will work with you. Like, that's what the city staff is there for. So before the application is proposed, that should be worked out with the city staff. Like, if you have questions like that, Jill will be very helpful, making sure what you have is meeting the standards. So I guess at this point, we'll just work with what's here in the application. Okay. All right. Let's move on now from the applicant questions to the public hearing. Okay. So, Sun and Bernard, hold on one sec. You can actually sit down, and we might call you back up, but for now, please sit down. We'll open the public hearing for this application at 1201 Gardner Avenue. So please approach the podium if someone's here for public comment, or hit *9 on your phone. And we had someone maybe, but now we don't think we have someone for this. So, okay. If no one's there and no one's here, then we will close the public comment. Okay, in that case, we will move on to Commissioner making a motion. Is there any commissioner who would like to make a motion?
I'll do it. I move the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 1201 Gardner Avenue, a contributing property in the Robert and Emma Hayden House Historic District, to relocate a rear door opening near the garage into a new exterior wall with a new door. The proposed work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 2, 5, and 9, and the guidelines for accessibility and entries and porches, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic Design Guidelines, particularly as they pertain to residential porches.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, that's moved by Commissioner Kaplan, seconded by Commissioner Smith. So, do we have discussion here? Ms. Thatcher?
So the homeowner passed out drawings that are different from what you're considering here.
Well, yeah.
So I think step one is for you guys to decide if you want to consider those.
No, I think
or
what I
not.
heard from Bernard was that this is a heads up of what's coming.
Okay.
He wants us to know that they're thinking about the drainage issue from the roof down to the ground, and this is a possible solution. It sounded to me like this was not part of the application. Is that what you guys heard as well?
Yeah. And I unintentionally, as a sideline curiosity, when we were on site, I looked up and saw just a roof line that looked like a funnel, and I said, what are you going to do about water? But it wasn't,
Right.
But I did clarify that it had nothing to do with the application or what we were, deciding over.
Okay.
Very good. That's good that we got that out of the way. Now, that being said, feel free to comment on what you see here, because that might be coming next, and so any comments that you can get out there. But so this might be a little tricky when it comes to, what was the wording in the motion? Did it say just as proposed or something like that? Do we need to be really careful about what we're,
Yeah,
what the
because
new
this-
information is versus what's in the application?
Is this part of the application?
Right.
Thing that was
I'm
just
hearing no.
handed
Yeah,
out?
that's a great question. We need to be just real, for me, it wasn't, but
Right.
My understanding is not.
It's not, okay.
Okay.
This is just an FYI of what might be coming in a next application. Okay, very good. And sorry, son, what was this sheet?
Oh,
Can you come back and explain that? I meant to ask you when you were up here. Is this something,
we just wanted to provide the most historical aerial view or the snapshot of the house, how it looked like after 1980, which is after the historic significance, but before 2023 or
Okay.
24.
Okay, just some
apologies if I
photos,
wasn't very
okay.
clear.
All right, thank you. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Thatcher, that's on your mind? Okay.
Well,
Comments?
one comment
Yeah.
about the next thing would maybe be to include the steps and what that whole entranceway is going to look like with the awning and the steps.
This is a good point, because there is a few lines on the drawing, like there's a step there or something, but there's no material called out, and it's hard to approve a door that's 16 inches off the ground if we don't know what it's stepping down to, because that's critical to the entire design.
Yeah, don't be alarmed when I say this, but I staff approve steps all the time.
Yeah, okay.
So that's
Yeah.
that.
This is
Yeah.
true. So something like that, especially, it says
That would
egress
be
door on the
code,
drum.
Right, you couldn't.
What's that?
I mean, it wouldn't be to code, you can't.
You can't not have a step.
Have a
So,
step.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the code, if this is an egress door, then you need a 3-foot deep step. Now, it says egress door on the drawings, but I don't know if, for this house, if this door is technically, as the code calls it, an egress door. So it,
You don't have to worry about that right now because it's not on the application. Unless
mean,
that's a sink or swim issue
it's-
for you, that,
I'm just thinking about it, that it's possible that how that looks could affect someone's thinking of whether or not this is appropriate.
Well, and I guess this, we don't know how this is going to look from what we've been given, right? We don't know how that door is going to look. I mean,
I think you can imagine pretty well.
I can.
Right?
And what we've heard about moving the shingles
Yeah.
is that this new changed entrance is going to look like it was always there. It's going to look like it was the historic opening, right?
Yeah.
They're going to move the shingles over, so, and that's not what we want. I think maybe they misconstrued our concern about the dark door, that actually would be
Well,
a way to.
the homeowner is very amenable to either door, I think.
Right.
So if that's your issue, if it's the
Well-
wrong door, they'll be fine with either door. I think that's clear from their
Yeah, I think, well,
talk.
and that's why I get back where I'm not really sure I understand how this is going to look. I mean, I
Okay.
understand the plane the door's going to be in, there's going to be a door there, they'll have to be, but it needs to look like it's a change, that it's not part of the original house. Because it's not. That's not how the house was originally built. So it needs to look like it was a change, or that it's new.
I agree with what you're saying, 100%. I think that this is a very tricky application for a lot of reasons. One, it's this singular historic district, and we don't have experience with that. This is the first application of this.
For this history.
Yeah. And so for that reason, it's new. I think another reason that makes it tricky is that this is on a front-facing elevation. It's a change on a elevation that faces the street. However, it's like the secondary, elevation of those two elevations. So that's in a way sort of conflicting items. And I would say that for me, I think this will look quite different. I think, to me, a void is a thing. Like, just because there's nothing there, you might get confused into thinking it's a nothing, but it's a void, which is a something. You read it as a void. And really, when you see that house, you see void, and then you see kind of a garage carport thing. If you put a door there, now you don't have that void, and it's going to look very different. is it different enough and important enough change to destroy the character-defining significance of that little portion of the house? That's what I think we need to figure out right now. I'd love to hear other people's, thoughts on that.
Agreed. I mean, because, once again, because this is at an intersection and it's highly visible, and, when you walk past this house, at least me, my eye goes towards that carport and my eye does go towards that void. It just does. And, not that, obviously, we're looking at the application on hand, but even like looking at this kind of next proposal, where now there's a canopy that's going to go over it. It's just kind of snowballing into an appearance that really isn't, in my mind, compatible with the historic character of the building.
Let's just take a brief tangent and talk about the awning just for a second, quickly. Is anyone in support of the awning? Like, do you see that awning and approve it? Or okay, I don't hear anyone. Does anyone want to say something about the awning other than what Commissioner Ross just said? Yeah.
I do agree with Commissioner Ross.
Yeah.
By adding the awning and then putting the door where they proposed, you're going to change the relationship between the massing of the garage and the building itself, and the house itself.
Yeah,
It's going to seem more as one unit versus two separate entities.
I agree. I'm sort of confused by the awning because there's already an awning there. The awning's there. The door's just too far into the awning. If the door was brought up like and pushed kind of 3 foot back from the face of the garage, I feel like maybe that's getting the applicant getting what they want. They can, rehabilitate the interior how they want, and then we still get that look of that void, and there's still an awning. But that's not what is approved or what is proposed here.
Jill, what was the word that you used in a previous meeting? We were looking at something where there were two structures and then there was an indentation. Did you call it an apostrophe or something
That's
like
a
that?
hyphen.
Hyphen, that's right, a hyphen, sorry.
Yeah, that's connecting two things,
Right.
yeah, rather than disconnecting two things. You know what I mean?
No, but I think what you were just describing reminds me of that, a hyphen. Like if the doorway weren't flush with the front edge of the garage, but recessed back enough to create articulation, but still forward enough that the space planning needs of the applicant were met, that could be a happy medium where we still get some sort of articulation there.
Right. Agreed. Can someone speak in favor of the motion? Okay. All right. Okay, so I think that if someone would like to make a final comment, I'd be happy to hear it. Does anyone want to circle back? Okay. I think that
It might be
please.
helpful to the applicant
Yeah.
that am I summarizing this appropriately?
Okay.
That our concern is sort of losing that void, probably primarily, but also with the other things that losing the void and moving that door out would require you to do to keep it covered and have steps and would really make a change. So the void is sort of our biggest issue, losing that void. And then the things that are being proposed that would take care of not having the void or sort of creating a different void, which aren't part of this proposal, but cause us concern. Is that a effective?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said there. And I feel like this is unfortunately very close. And I feel like, is this a possibility where we can postpone this application? If what you've heard us say is sort of amenable to, if you like the ideas and want to resubmit next month, Well, yeah, you can come up.
Bernard,
Is
do
that
you want to
Bernard?
go first?
Yeah, would you guys mind if I just threw a few things in here real quick? Just to help with some
Very
clarification.
quick, Bernard, please.
Yep. One thing is that gutter, there has to be no awning, so that was a miscommunication on my part. When I talked to Steven, I thought they just wanted kind of a proposal, because he kind of said like, what would you do? But that gutter on the fascia, that can be reworked with the existing gutter. So that doesn't have to have an awning. That absolutely doesn't have to happen. So that has nothing to do with the proposition. And in regards to the steps, it can be, if you wanted it the 3 feet out or whatever, it could be wood that is cedar shaped and trimmed to match the house and the style of the house that they have there existing already. We can match that so it blends with that house, so it wouldn't even be noticeable. Now, in regards to the void, I do, David, what you said there, I do agree, like, if you wanted it inset and still have that, you could achieve that, and you still have your void, plus you have for the drainage. But I'm saying the gutter can absolutely be reused with the door there in that place, and exactly how it is now without adding it on.
Okay, very good. Well,
Stabilizing that gutter for the drainage, absolutely.
okay. I feel like that, yeah. Sorry, and Son, do you have anything to add? We're good. All right, we're gonna postpone this application. This application is very close. It's a bit it's a bit incomplete, and I think that if we postpone it and you make the right changes, it's possible that we reconvene next month and this will be approved, but this is not like a guarantee of approval or anything like that, right? So what I heard Bernard say, some of those things I was not on board with, and so Bernard, what you have to do is get those ideas gathered in an email or have a phone call with Ms. Thatcher in the city, and she will explain to you what is what is an approvable addition to this house, okay? So we're gonna vote on a postponement. Okay, all those in favor of postponement, please say yes.
Yes.
Okay, all opposed, say no. Great, okay, I was a yes. So this application is postponed. We'll see it again next month. And please do use Ms. Thatcher as a resource. Okay. Let's move on. It's going to be hearing 224 and 226 South Main Street. Ms. Thatcher, when you are ready,
Okay.
the staff report, please.
Give me one moment here. Let's see. Okay.
Okay.
224 and 226 South Main Street is at the corner of South Main and West Liberty. It's a one-story brick art modern building that was originally built, it was originally built as a 3-story Italianate commercial building that was occupied by Mack and Company department store. They had a 4 or 5 bay building on this corner. The building that you see off in the distance here was part of the same building. It's the only remaining 3-story bit. There was more on either side of it, including this corner. In 1899, a fire damaged the upper stories, and they just cut it down to a single story. And in 1939, Cunningham's Drugs installed the Art Moderne facade that you see on the building today. The applicant is seeking approval to construct a rooftop deck, stair enclosures, kitchen and bar, and toilet room. The existing roof at the eastern end of the building will be lowered into an existing plenum space. Mechanical units will be relocated and screened. Planter boxes will follow the parapet, and a metal guardrail will be placed inside of the planter boxes. This is a surprisingly straightforward application. It has a lot of bits to it, but let me walk you through the photos and drawings. So Pretzel Bell's in there now. They occupy both of these spaces. This used to be that little frame shop. At a previous meeting, the HDC declared that the inset here, speaking of insets, on this building next door, is a historic feature of the building and should not be changed. There it is. That's the one we're talking about. This is, there's an existing parapet up here that's pretty tall. We'll get to it in the drawings in a sec. You can see in the back here how tall that is. There's a cool chimney that would remain. The site is just a big rectangle. Here's the existing demo plan. So the mechanical units that are pink would be moved around. Some existing ones that have to stay where they are would be screened. And this area in the front would be, the roof would be removed and dropped into a plenum space, a dead space that's there, that's left over from the previous building. It's very convenient that they can just do that and lower the roof down in order to give them a higher parapet going around the edge. Here's what they're proposing to end up with. All of the walking spaces are manufactured wood decking. There are a couple of different little buildings. This is the kitchen bar, not a building, but you know what I mean, a rooftop addition. There's a toilet room here with some storage in the back. There's a stair enclosure in the way back, and there is another stair that's more accessible directly from the restaurant. The mechanical areas would all have screening around them to keep people away from them. And around the edge is this green planter box. It's 4 feet deep, and it's designed to keep people away from the edge of the building. And inside of the planter boxes is a metal guardrail, there for the same reason. This is the back alley elevation. You can see that rear stair. There's a stair there already. They would just have to extend it up higher to go up onto the roof, which is great. That's a great place for it. So that's a second means of egress from the roof. These are the buildings in the distance. Sorry, I keep saying buildings. These are the additions in the distance, the bar and the other stair and the toilet rooms. There's a glass guardrail here. I think that's the only place that it's necessary because we've got the planters and the parapet all the way around the other sides. So no changes to the building really at all, to the exterior walls. This is all going on the roof and within that space. You can see how the buildings look in direct profile here, and here is how they look from the front. This is not from the observer's eye view, however. 27 feet at its tallest. Section drawing. These are the screening for the mechanical units is metal walls with horizontal slats. Okay, here's the line of sight drawings. From straight across Main Street, you really couldn't see much. And I had the conversation with the architects that our goal is to not have a bunch of patio umbrellas on the roof that look like mushrooms sprouting from the top of the building. You might still get those, you might still see those, but I shouldn't really say patio umbrellas. There won't be any sort of like large pergola shade structure or something like that up here that stays there all the time. Less concerned about table umbrellas. 3D views. And just nominally visible, this is from kitty corner across the intersection in front of Shinola. Yeah. And this one on the bottom is straight across from the Cherry Republic, say. So you'll see a little bit of stuff on the back, but that's where you should see the stuff. If there's going to be new stuff, you should keep it on the back. And it's straightforward and it's simple, and it's not even mechanical units that are going to be visible. There are great details included in the proposal, how they're going to go about pulling this off. From the Secretary of Interior standards, I've already read 1 and 2 and 9 and 10 to you today. From the guidelines for additions, it's recommended to design additions to roofs such as residential, office, or storage spaces, elevator housings, decks, and terraces, dormers or skylights, when required by the new use, that they are inconspicuous from the public right-of-way and do not damage or obscure character-defining structures. It's recommended to place new additions such as balconies and greenhouses on non-character-defining elevations and limiting their size and scale, and to design additional stories when required for the new use that are set back from the wall plane and are as inconspicuous as possible when viewed from the street. From the guidelines for additions, it's not recommended to construct additional stories that the historic appearance is radically changed. From the building site guidelines, it's not recommended to introduce a new landscape feature. I'm sorry, I don't think that planters don't really count as landscape features. From the Ann Arbor Historic District Design Guidelines, it's appropriate when required to design additional stories that are set back from the front and side wall planes and are as inconspicuous as possible when viewed from the street, and locating a rooftop addition to be inconspicuous when viewed from the street. It's a little bit redundant. Let's see. Per the Secretary of Interior's guidelines, no character-defining features of the historic building are obscured, damaged, or destroyed by the proposal. The roof addition's height is low and is set back in order to minimize the line of sight from pedestrians on Main Street and Liberty. This work would only be nominally visible from either of those streets. It does not overpower or alter the original building, and the work should have no negative effects on the historic building or other structures in the Main Street Historic District. So staff does recommend approval of the application. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Thatcher. We will now move on to the Review Committee report from Commissioners Ross and Kaplan.
I can start. This will be a short review. I agree with staff's characterization of the application and the kind of current conditions. Yeah, it just seems like a really well thought out, nicely kind of laid out, light touch to the building.
Agreed.
Okay. Thank you both. Would the applicant please approach the podium? Provide your name and address for the record. You've got 5 minutes to speak, and please give us your report.
Hello, Gene Hopkins with Hopkins Burns Design Studio, Historic Preservation Architects for the project. And
Greg McLean, ditto. Same address.
yes, at
Organization.
113 South 4th Avenue in Ann Arbor. I think everything has been said. That Jill wrapped it up very well. Our goal, obviously, was to be historically appropriate in the downtown historic district, minimize any negative impact, but yet utilize a wonderful outdoor urban space for the public to enjoy as part of the engagement of Main Street. So we are here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Gene. Do we have any questions? I had one. It's very, I see you're lowering the roof structure, which just sounds like a really creative solution to, I'm not sure what exactly, but I guess just getting it lower. But I'm just, how then, I saw like half of it's being lowered, but I don't really see like a big step up anywhere. I saw some ramps. But am I reading the floor plan correctly, that it's more or less one level, even though half of it is getting lowered?
That is correct. That's
Yeah.
part of the drainage issue. There's about
Okay.
4 feet of space. The original second floor flooring is still in the building. And it's on top of the that ceiling structure, floor structure that was the second floor. It's about 4 feet up to where the roof is, and the roof slopes to the back
Okay.
for drainage. So our goal is to reduce that 4 feet to about 2 feet-ish, put a new roofing membrane at that point, and then,
Right.
my colleague, and then put a pedestal drainage roof so that actually The new pedestal roof will be, as it slopes flat, will tie right back into where we did the cutout and be right onto the existing roof.
Okay.
So
That was a very good description, and also the diagrammatically, that, for the visual among us,
Yeah.
like me, very, very helpful. Okay,
Yes.
that's very interesting. And then can you talk more about the idea of having the roof planters there? I think it's an interesting addition, and the staff report said it's to keep people away from the edge. Is that really the
That's really
the
true,
reason?
yes.
Yeah.
We agree that even though people want to be up to the edge of a parapet, it's a dangerous position to put people in, not only people that are up there enjoying beverages of their choice, but also it's a liability for anybody potentially down on the sidewalk. So we feel that it's safer to pull those people away, give some breathing space, if you will, between where the patrons can stand and have a railing there
Yeah.
as well, and there can be a small drink rail at that point, and prevent anybody from getting too close to that parapet and protecting the parapet.
Very good. Thank you very much. Are there other questions for the applicant? Okay, please take a seat. We might call you back up if we need you. But we're going to move on to the public hearing. So the public hearing is open for this application at 224, 226 South Main Street. Don't see anyone here. Do we have anyone in the Zoom room? No.
We do not.
Okay, very good. So then we will close the public hearing for this application, and I will ask if a commissioner would like to make a motion. Yes.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 226 South Main Street, a contributing property in the Main Street Historic District, to construct a roof deck, stair enclosures, kitchen, bar, and toilet room as proposed. The work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building and the surrounding area, and meets the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for all additions and the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 1, 2, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for alterations for the new use, additions, building site, and district/neighborhood setting.
Second.
Great. That's moved by Commissioner Fordner and seconded by Commissioner Calderon. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Okay, I think there's probably no discussion because it's a mostly invisible project from the right-of-way. I mean, I think that that's kind of the gist of it. There is, some of it is visible from the alley. Does anyone have a comment on kind of what you can see from the alley, or is everyone just agreeing with staff that what you can see is minimal, the materials seem right, it seems like it's in the right place, and more or less that seems like we have consensus there. Well, before we go to a vote, we've seen this project a few times, so I do just want to commend the owners for not giving up on the idea of the rooftop addition at this property. And also really for partnering with a design firm that specializes in historic preservation that is really helpful in getting these tricky projects to adapt to the standards. I will just say that the idea of the rooftop patio is very compelling in this location. I think it's just a great idea. The execution of the design shows a thorough knowledge of the HDC standards. And so, yeah, I'm also supporting this project. So let's just, without further ado, go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion carries. Your application has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, let's move on to new business, and there is no new business, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That must have been G.
That was G, exactly. So, okay, now we do have minutes from March. So Does anyone have any comments or corrections from the March minutes? I feel like Commissioner Kahano really went over the minutes with a fine-tooth comb, so now someone's going to have to take that on. But hearing no corrections, we'll approve the March minutes. And now I'll ask if there's any reports from commissioners. We did have some assignments happen last month, but maybe no one's, there's no updates yet. Did we? Okay. Okay, well, and now let's move on to assignments. We've got the May 6th meeting. Oh, wait. The May 9th meeting, we'll have a May 6th, 5 p.m. review committee.
If I could interrupt for 1 second. This might not be the right time to talk about it, but for the May 9th meeting, I will be at the Michigan Historic Preservation Network conference.
Oh, my gosh.
And we're a little short-handed right now in planning, and we don't really have anyone to staff a meeting on May 9. So
This sounds like the perfect time to bring this up.
I need to ask you guys, and I'm trying to look right now to see if we can get council chambers, whether you would be able to move it 1 week later to May 16th.
Okay, and we're allowed to do that this late in the game?
Oh, yeah.
No issues?
Yeah,
Okay.
No, that's not an issue. We got a whole month. The only thing is I'm having trouble telling if somebody's already got council chambers or not.
Anyone booked that day?
I am. I'll be in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got two, and Commissioner Ross.
And Commissioner Ross is also out. Okay.
I can go, I've got nothing going on.
What do you guys think?
I can do the
Is that okay?
16th.
I can make it too.
Okay, okay.
That'll just be
Then-
4 of us, though.
Yeah, there'll just be 4 of you. So
So if someone gets sick, then
let me know
we'll
as
have
soon
to
as
cancel.
possible.
Does it have to be a Thursday?
No, it doesn't have to be. It's just that, here, let me
Is
try
it
a
something with the
different day.
Thursday for you guys, or when are you available that week?
I'm in Cleveland all week.
The whole week?
Project,
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Let me see. Well, Wednesday is Peace Officers Memorial Day, which means I'll be available. Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you, let me see, I'm sorry, let me see here, 15. I mean, I could do either the 14th or the 15th.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
14th is my preference between 14 and 15.
Okay. On the 14th, could we get 5 of you? Sounds like? Okay.
Yeah.
14th, we get 5, and on the 15th, wait, what day are we looking at now? 15th, oh, we can't do it on the 14th because that's a planning commission night, same time. Sorry,
What about the 13th?
no, that's a city council night.
Okay. Well, the 16th worked, but it was just 4 of us.
Yeah, okay. All right, let me, or we can cancel the Bay meeting. That's the other option.
Well, what if we do that, does that automatically get
Does
approved
she
then?
get? Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I
Or
would
is it
just ask
60
them.
days or something?
It's 60 days.
Yeah.
But since the application was determined to be incomplete.
Yes,
And
okay.
you're asking for more information.
Okay.
The clock starts over again
Great.
today.
Yeah, so let's just, you're saying just skip May?
Yeah, we could just skip May.
How
Go to
many,
June.
how many you got in the?
I don't have any itching to come in right
Yeah,
now.
okay. I think that anyone would be okay with
Yeah.
skipping May.
Okay, I mean, if.
It just means that June might be a
It's silly to schedule
little-
a meeting when we might not have a quorum, and it might mean that June is a long meeting.
Yeah.
But, all right, then I'm going to go with canceling the May meeting.
Yeah.
And rescheduling it,
Okay.
or, well, I
Or-
mean, just skipping it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, thank you, Chip, for volunteering to be on the review committee, but now there's no need.
I'm never doing it again. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, that was easy.
Great. We'll look for you in June if it works out in your calendar. Okay, well, I feel like reports from staff has already been done, but maybe there's more.
No, I have another one.
Oh, good.
The retreat is Saturday.
Right.
And we're going to be in the stunning beauty of the first floor Larkham City Hall conference room. I promise you, next year we'll go someplace more interesting, but
Very good.
if you show up at 9, we'll have bagels and donuts and cream cheese and coffee.
Okay, 9 a.m.
9 a.m., and I promise to have you out by noon, if not before.
Very good. See you all there. Okay, anything else, Ms. Thatcher?
That's it for me.
Okay. Are there any concerns of commissioners to discuss right now during the concerns of commissioners? Let's move on to communications. I'm assuming we had no communications this
Nope.
month. In that case, I will now adjourn the April 11th, 2024 HTC meeting at 8:47 PM. Thank you all.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.